Henry II and the Angevin Empire, cultural diversity and territorial challenges. The Angevin Empire under Henry II, reigned 1154 to 1189, was one of the most intricate political constructs of the High Middle Ages. Stretching from the Scottish borders to the Pyrenees, this composite dominion encompassed England, Normandy, Anjou, Maine, Touraine, Brittany, Aquitaine, and parts of Ireland. It was neither a state nor a homogeneous entity, but rather a collection of territories, each with distinct cultural, legal, and linguistic frameworks. This inherent heterogeneity necessitated extraordinary administrative and political ingenuity to sustain. Henry's reign exemplifies the challenges of ruling such a disparate assemblage, as his authority relied on a delicate balance of pragmatism, reform, and coercion. Let's explore the cultural diversity within the Angevin Empire, delves into the unique challenges posed by governing specific territories like Normandy, Aquitaine, and Ireland, and scrutinizes Henry's fractious relationship with the French crown, particularly his rivalry with Louis VII. The cultural diversity of the Angevin Empire. The Angevin Empire was marked by profound cultural, linguistic, and legal diversity. England, for instance, boasted a well-established administrative apparatus rooted in Anglo-Saxon traditions, such as shire courts and a centralized treasury system. Normandy, by contrast, retained its feudal customs, emphasizing ducal prerogatives. Further south, Aquitaine exhibited cultural affinities with the Mediterranean, characterized by its troubadour poetry, Romanesque architecture, and decentralized nobility. This diversity extended to linguistic practices. Latin functioned as the lingua franca for administration and ecclesiastical affairs, but vernacular languages, including Old English, Norman French, Occitan, and Gaelic, prevailed locally. Similarly, legal traditions diverged sharply. England's nascent common law system coexisted with feudal codes in Normandy and customary practices in Aquitaine. This plurality posed significant challenges to Henry, requiring him to eschew uniformity in favor of a flexible, localized approach to governance. His reliance on itinerant justices, regional administrators, and an adaptable fiscal policy reflected his keen understanding of these complexities. Henry's governance was fundamentally pragmatic. Recognizing the futility of imposing centralized control over regions with entrenched local traditions, he sought to co-opt existing systems of power. For instance, in Normandy, he reinforced ducal authority by aligning his policies with feudal norms, while in England, he expanded royal jurisdiction through judicial and fiscal reforms. This adaptability was not without its limits, as the empire's inherent fragmentation rendered it vulnerable to internal dissension and external aggression. Normandy, the strategic core of the empire. Normandy was the linchpin of the Angevin Empire, serving as the crucial link between England and the continental territories. Its geographic position, agricultural wealth, and robust trade networks endowed it with strategic and economic significance. Furthermore, its proximity to Paris placed it at the forefront of Henry's rivalry with the French crown. The duchy's administrative sophistication provided a template for Angevin governance. Building on a tradition of strong ducal authority, Henry fortified his control by appointing loyal officials and establishing the Exchequer of Rouen, a financial institution modeled on its English counterpart. These measures ensured efficient revenue collection and reinforced ducal supremacy. However, Normandy's position as a former French possession rendered it a perennial source of contention. Henry's marriage to Eleanor of Aquitaine, which brought vast territories into the Angevin fold, exacerbated French anxieties about encirclement. Louis VII, perceiving Henry's ascendancy as a direct threat, sought to destabilize Normandy through diplomatic and military maneuvers. These external pressures were compounded by internal challenges, as Norman nobles occasionally resisted Henry's fiscal and judicial policies. Despite these obstacles, Henry's adept management preserved Normandy's pivotal role within the empire. Aquitaine, a land of independence and challenges. Aquitaine was the largest and most culturally distinct of Henry's continental possessions. Its immense wealth, derived from wine production and trade, bolstered the Angevin treasury, while its vibrant cultural scene, epitomized by the troubadour tradition, enhanced the empire's prestige. Nevertheless, Aquitaine's feudal structure posed significant governance challenges. Unlike Normandy, where ducal authority was firmly entrenched, Aquitaine's powerful barons operated with considerable autonomy, often acting as de facto rulers of their domains. Henry's authority in Aquitaine derived largely from his marriage to Eleanor, whose inheritance brought the region under Angevin control. However, Eleanor's influence was both an asset and a liability. As a native of Aquitaine, she facilitated Henry's initial consolidation of power, but her eventual rebellion, alongside their sons, exposed the fragility of Angevin authority in the region. The revolt of 1173 to 1174 underscored the difficulty of reconciling the ambitions of Aquitaine's nobility with Henry's centralized vision. To govern Aquitaine, Henry relied on itinerant courts and trusted officials to mediate disputes and enforce royal authority. However, his efforts were frequently undermined by the region's deeply ingrained traditions of feudal independence. The Count of Toulouse, for example, persistently challenged Angevin claims, diverting resources and attention from other priorities. Despite these challenges, Aquitaine remained a vital component of the empire, contributing significantly to its economic and cultural vitality. Ireland, expanding influence and mixed success. Henry II's intervention in Ireland represents a significant, albeit contentious, chapter in Angevin expansion. In 1171, Henry became the first English monarch to set foot in Ireland, seeking to assert control over a fragmented and divided island. His intervention was prompted by the activities of Anglo-Norman adventurers like Richard de Clare, Strongbow, whose alliance with Gaelic King Diarmait mac Murchada threatened to destabilize the region. Henry's expedition aimed to consolidate Angevin influence while curbing the ambitions of independent lords. He secured the submission of several Gaelic rulers and established the Pale, a zone of direct Angevin administration centered around Dublin. The Synod of Cashel in 1172 further aligned the Irish Church with Roman practices, bolstering Henry's claims to legitimacy. Despite these achievements, Henry's control over Ireland remained tenuous. Beyond the Pale, Gaelic clans retained their autonomy, and their periodic resistance underscored the limitations of Angevin authority. The decentralized nature of Irish society, characterized by clan-based governance and regional rivalries, complicated efforts to impose centralized administration. Additionally, Henry's broader imperial commitments limited the resources he could allocate to Ireland, leaving its integration incomplete. Cultural and political disparities further hindered Angevin ambitions in Ireland. The Gaelic system of kingship, predicated on regional autonomy and shifting allegiances, clashed with Henry's centralized vision. Efforts to extend English legal and administrative systems were met with resistance, reflecting the broader difficulties of incorporating Ireland into the Angevin framework. Tensions with the French crown. Henry II's relationship with Louis VII of France was marked by mutual suspicion and hostility, rooted in the complex dynamics of feudal hierarchy and personal rivalry. As Duke of Normandy and Count of Anjou, Henry was technically a vassal of the French king, yet his extensive holdings far exceeded those of his nominal overlord. This asymmetry fueled tensions that permeated their interactions. The situation was exacerbated by Henry's marriage to Eleanor of Aquitaine, Louis's former wife. This union not only deprived Louis of Aquitaine but also elevated Henry to a position of unparalleled power in Western Europe. Louis responded by seeking to undermine Henry through alliances with rival powers and support for rebellions within the Angevin Empire, most notably the revolt of Henry's sons. The Treaty of Montmirail in 1169 sought to alleviate these tensions by dividing Henry's lands among his sons, who would hold them as vassals of the French crown. However, this arrangement failed to resolve the underlying power struggle, as Henry retained ultimate authority over his territories. The rivalry between the Plantagenets and Capetians would persist, shaping the geopolitical landscape of medieval Europe. Henry's dealings with the French crown highlight the limitations of his imperial ambitions. While his military and administrative capabilities allowed him to maintain control over his vast domains, the persistent threat from France exposed the vulnerabilities of the Angevin Empire. This ongoing conflict underscored the broader challenges of sustaining a multi-territorial polity in an era defined by feudal fragmentation. Conclusion. Henry II's reign over the Angevin Empire exemplifies the complexities of medieval governance. His ability to administer a diverse and sprawling dominion was a testament to his political acumen and innovative reforms. From the strategic heartland of Normandy to the culturally distinct regions of Aquitaine and Ireland, Henry navigated a labyrinth of local customs, feudal obligations, and external threats. His pragmatic approach, characterized by adaptability and decentralization, enabled him to sustain the empire during his lifetime. Nevertheless, the Angevin Empire's inherent diversity and the centrifugal forces at play rendered it inherently unstable. The tensions between regional autonomy and centralized authority, coupled with the external pressures exerted by the French crown, foreshadowed the empire's eventual disintegration. Despite its ephemeral nature, the Angevin Empire left an indelible mark on the political and cultural development of medieval Europe, and Henry's legacy endures as a pivotal figure in the history of the High Middle Ages. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe to Medieval Chronicles 1066 for more journeys back to the Middle Ages. Stay curious.